I did not want to like Jax. Let me reaffirm this.
Oh no! It looks like I've taken Ragatha and dropped her in the deep fryer.
But this episode proves that Gooseworks is dragging me kicking and screaming aboard the Jax train, with some fabulous writing. I also get really overwhelmingly excited to see animation tackle adult subjects with maturity, to see mature characters and storytelling in animation, especially Western animation. I've always found Jax to be kind of boring. He feels like a character that's trying way too hard to be edgy and funny, and even though I do love a character who gets to be mean, Jax has always rubbed me the wrong way. For a long time, his meanness has felt boring to me, because he wasn't fleshed out. There are so many moments in this episode where we can easily see Jax fitting into this neat archetype, but Gooseworks keeps throwing a wrench into our understanding of this character throughout the episode. I knew they would eventually flesh him out, but I didn't think it would be that interesting, since I didn't find his character interesting, always trying way too hard to be the likeable, edgy character. But the way it's done in this episode is so well done and such a hard hitter. I was taken aback and so pleased to see the depth he's given, but more importantly, the way he's given depth which didn't feel cliché or boring. In this episode, everything is just balls to the walls chaos. Somehow it tops episode 5 by being a roller coaster of fun before the emotional crash at the end. It feels like they've narrowed down on the formula that works, as every episode combines action, fun, and emotional trauma. But this episode in particular is Jax's shining moment. Continuing from episode 5 Untitled, Jax is shown spending time with Pomni, who he teams up with for the in-house adventure.
You sure you can handle me in all my glory?
I've been through worse.
Can I just say that it's really nice that the action takes place in the digital circus? It doesn't feel like we've done much in the circus since the pilot episode, and this game presents the perfect opportunity to explore its wacky walls. I also just love when writers force characters into these kind of situations, and I think that's why episode 5 works so well, with its constant jumping between these smaller scenarios, as they really allow characters to shine when the focus is more intimate, compared to the epic scale locations of episodes 2 and 3. Pomni and Jax start off well enough as team bad guys. Pomni taps into her chaotic evil self from last episode with Jax's encouragement. There's a lot of talk about archetypes and avatars, as this episode really focuses on the way each character deals with their identity. And all of this culminates into an intense confrontation between Pomni and Jax after they win the game. I felt genuinely uncomfortable watching Jax and Pomni argue. I had this pit in my stomach as I realised just how much their situation really hit me. The relationship between Pomni and Jax builds to this messy conclusion, complicated and handled in a very mature way, where I felt like even kids watching might not fully get it compared to adults. These are adult characters in cartoon bodies, a theme that's heavily referenced. There's a stronger use of adult themes in this episode compared to all others, but what makes it work is just how well it's executed. The writing is on another level, far stronger in my opinion than previous episodes. It's as if they readied their writing power level just for Jax in particular. He's allowed to be messy and complex, which makes him feel like a real personality. In the final confrontation between Jax and Pomni, Jax encourages Pomni to betray him and end the game. But the fact of the matter is, Jax is the one betraying Pomni on an emotional level as he attempts to distance himself from their growing friendship. Just as Kinga talks about relationships being two-sided, we see Jax unwilling to connect with Pomni in some mutual way. I said it in my review of episode 4, like Gangle, we all wear masks to survive each day, and here we see Jax's mask cracking. Jax is protecting himself from abstraction by hiding his vulnerabilities, but by suppressing his emotions and then lashing out, he's only putting himself more in danger of abstracting. Jax has unknowingly, over the course of many episodes, been lowering his guard around Pomni. Maybe at first it was just to annoy Ragatha, but it's clear that he's begun to reveal sides of himself to Pomni that the others don't get to see. And this episode is about that realization and his attempt to reel himself back in.
You know, getting close with Pomni. To corrupt her.
My read of this moment is that Jax dislikes others thinking that he cares enough about Pomni to corrupt her. Some fans have viewed Jax as secretly a bit of a psycho, And they play into that here with the end where he snaps at Pomni. But the truth is, this is just how Jax chooses to disengage. He's not trying to corrupt anyone because that would imply he's emotionally invested in some way. Another realization I had is the similarities between Jax and Gangle. In episode 5, Jax asks if Gangle will ever be happy.
Do you think Gangle is actually capable of being happy?
What?
I don't know, like her comedy mask still breaks every day. Does she think hanging out with Zubul is gonna magically fix that?
I think now he asks this because Gangle is most like him, in his mind. Both wear masks, and both seem to struggle with being happy. Jax doesn't believe he can be happy, and so he focuses on Gangle because he sees himself in her. The archetype conversation he has with Pomni is also very revealing.
I do everything because it's funny. Because I'm the funny one.
Jax finds comfort in thinking of himself as the funny guy archetype. In fact, he almost looks offended at Pomni's suggestion he acts like a villain. By choosing to be this archetype, Jax is trying to have some control over his situation in the circus and his emotions. But these archetypes are fake, and so for Jax, it's just another mask he can hide behind. In reality, they are all humans with complex feelings, not cartoon characters made to fit roles. He also just doesn't live up to this archetype, as Pomni's initial reaction shows.
The funny one.
Gangle and Zubul spend some time together reflecting on their own bodies as avatars. I like how we see Zubul's face reflected in Gangle's mask, which shows how both characters have a similar problem of learning to love themselves despite their physical bodies being so difficult to live with. They genuinely connect this episode, just like Ragatha and Kinga. These genuine connections between the teams provides a stark contrast to the artificial team bad guys, with Pomni putting on the mask of evil and Jax hiding behind his usual mask. In the end, Jax ends up feeling so cornered by Pomni that he resorts to cruelty in an attempt to save face, but ultimately he's fooling no one. I would have hated it had we not seen this important moment where Jax turns from Pomni and looks so desperate and upset. By showing his true feelings, the creators are not wasting our time pretending he actually feels that way, and instead they're jumping right into a more complex version of Jax, passing the cliches to give us something raw and vulnerable, and it's so intense. It could have been handled so poorly, but fantastic writing on the team's part make this episode really pop. I think it's the best so far. As Jax reveals his true colours, he only becomes more interesting and engaging to watch. I'm on the edge of my seat for episode 7. Thanks for watching.